Good evening from New York. I'm Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Journeys. Welcome. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, I want to thank you very much for lending us your ears this evening for an hour. I am always honored when I have the privilege of having a conversation with a son or daughter of our soil. As many of you will know, we have just had a change of government, and this evening I'm especially happy to have a conversation with Mr. Floyd Levi, who is an advisor to the president of the government on e-government. So I am going to bring Floyd Levi on, and let's just start this conversation without me taking a break. The gentleman next to me is Mr. Floyd Levi. Floyd, good evening and welcome to CWS.
Okay, good evening, Selwyn, and thank you for having me on.
You're
And good evening to your viewers also.
You're quite welcome, sir. You're quite welcome. I know you have a very busy schedule, so it's indeed an honor here this evening. Floyd, I just want to jump right into it. If you were to eavesdrop your parents telling the president of Guyana, President Granger, about you, what do you think either of them would be saying?
Well, I think first of all, they might have been pleasantly surprised that I'm in such a position actually today. Bear in mind that I came from pretty humble beginnings, so they would have been surprised that, that I could have been here today. So yes, they thought that the son that they nurtured in Port Beast many years ago could have risen to such a position in Guyana and actually be advising the president of the United States.
Floyd, I don't know if you're too far away from the mic right now, but I'm hardly hearing you. All right, good. That's a little better.
Okay.
What are three positive words that always come to mind when you attempt to describe this man we have come to know as Floyd Levi?
Well, sometimes I see myself as a mentor. Many times I work with the youths who I cross paths with, trying to guide them, trying to point them in the right direction. So I see myself as a mentor in many occasions. One of my passions is conducting research. So I see myself as a researcher. I'm actually conducting a follow-up research on an MSc thesis I did many years ago. I'm actually researching the influence of social exclusion in transnational organized crimes for a PhD thesis at the University of West Indies. Again, I see myself as a researcher sometimes. In my spare time, going back again to my roots, I see myself as a farmer because I consider myself a weekend farmer, going back to my ancestral village and engaging in the traditions of that village. I come from a farming background, I come from a farming family, so I believe I'm keeping that tradition.
That you mentioned the ancestral village. Were you born and raised there?
Yes, I was. I was born in Sandwood Village, West Country, Bordeaux, 1966.
What was it like? Give us a glimpse into life then at age 9 and 15.
Back then, I spent 6 years and more than 7 years in Sandwood. It was a pretty, I would say, common rural setting. It's a village at that point in time. It's not much in terms of amenities. But it's the kind of environment you read so often about, playing in the village, going to a village school, walking barefoot, taking the cows out to pasture, that kind of thing.
What and at 15, what happened at 15?
Well, actually at 11, I was actually nominated by my headmaster at Sandford to go to St. James the Less Primary in Georgetown, where I spent actually just short of a year, and I at St. Nicholas, I passed common entrance back to go to Queen's College, and at QC I spent my early teens, and at 15, actually at that point in time I wrote CXCs and A levels.
So, what still stands out for you about those days before you went to Georgetown to Queens? Like when you were young, growing up in the village, your ancestral village, what still stands out to you today? What do you miss about those days?
Well, it's actually the peace and tranquility, the togetherness, the clean fun, the adventures, that sort of thing. We had we still do have a large expanse of land belonging to Sandwood, so it was that kind of idyllic setting where, you can go off into the back dams and you can spend a whole day in the back dam fishing, gathering fruits, having fun like so many other country boys.
So give me 3 people. Well, let me be specific. I know that the gender police gonna hit me on this one, but 3 men that have made a tremendous impact on your life as a child.
Well, first of all, it has to be one of my teachers back in Sandvoort, who really pushed me at school, actually got me going to leave the village to go to Georgetown. His name is teacher David. That's his name, so it was David. So he was one of the persons who very early recognized that I had some potential and really demanded that I perform. Again, going to school in Georgetown, the headmaster there was extremely, I would say, strict. Did not spare the rod. He was from Buxton, Chile. So particularly his common entrance class. And back then again, it was always competition.
Yes.
With those schools at common entrance. So particularly the boys who wanted to play and the teachers wanted to study. So teacher Lee there actually always maintained, that strict persona and pushed us. And at Queens, of course, there was that outstanding personality. Having Strauss. Attended QC at that period again. A disciplinarian on one who also did not spare the rod. So those of us who were fortunate to have been on his care at the time, would certainly have made an impact on my young life. So sometimes I see those 3 strong male characters allowing you to be a boy, to be a young man, but still demanding of you discipline, performance, particularly academic performance. So, credit a lot of my, achievements I had in life to those 3 male teachers that stood out.
What are the fondest memories you have of your parents?
Well, there are so many good times and so many bad times.
Yeah.
It was always my mom looking out for us, always children together, keeping us together as a family. She's particularly special. She has 6 children. My dad, who was a seaman, he actually worked on the Bormine tugs in the British River, was always, working and coming home and trip offs and so on. And particularly for him, I can remember him, the type of whenever you come home as a seaman, sure you have the village guys of his age around for a good drink and, encouraging the young lads to take one for the stomach. Take one for the stomach's sake.
Do you think that in some ways your dad might have, or his occupation might have influenced your path into the maritime arm of the military?
Yes, indeed. I would say that without a shadow of doubt, because when I left school after writing A levels, I joined the Air Defense Force as an officer cadet in 1985. Whilst I was doing the cadet program, generally they would ask which unit in the Guardian Defense Force you'd like to serve in. And I had no other choice. I always made one choice. I always said one thing. I started the then Maritime Corps, which later became the Coast Guard. You know, I always wanted to be like my father, be captain of the ship.
Mm-hmm. You left there as a lieutenant commander.
Yes.
What was that? What was that experience like? Being in charge of the IT department there. What was that like for you? And how has that experience helped you in your current capacity? I mean, we're gonna go back to the genesis of you being an advisor and so on. But you mentioned maritime, so I want to go down that path. How did that impact what you do today?
Really, when I completed my officer college training in 1986, I was chosen to go to the Maritime Corps. Almost immediately, I was selected to go on a sea scholarship to the Brazilian Merchant Marine Academy in Rio de Janeiro, where I spent 4 years studying nautical science and, you know, how to prepare one seaman officer in the Merchant Marine. Whilst at the Brazilian Merchant Marine Academy, back then in '86, from '86 to '90, I was introduced to a subject that they call studies in computer science, which I always thought was, you know, something for the girls, you know. But at that time they had the foresight to computer science was going to play a very, very important role in the development of society. So I put aside all the reservations I had and took it, you know. So there in the Merchant Marine Academy was where I was introduced to
so it is
science, which really assisted me when I got back again in 1990 to start up the, well, we didn't call it the computer department there, but we called it the Maritime Information System Department of the Coast Guard, where we tracked ships that were coming together using our IDs system at the time. And I think I did that pretty well and was actually spotted by the then Chief of Staff. Visited the Coast Guard and saw the work I was doing. And he had me transferred from the Coast Guard to work in Defense Headquarters at Camp Ghana to set up the Ghana Defense Force IT department. Got there in Ghana, I think it was 96. So from 1996 to 2000, I was the officer commanding of the Information Technology Department. And at the same time, I was actually doing a degree in computer science at the university. So that really gave me the foundation that I have today in terms of preparing me to be an IT specialist and IT advisor.
Mm-hmm. You had access to education, a topic that from our discussions is near and dear to your heart, especially regarding young people. Why is this so important to you, Floyd?
Well, you know, whenever I go back to my ancestral village, I see the guys of my age, you know, countryside, we call them pro-match, pro-mates. And I look at how our lives, you know, their lives and my lives are progressed. And I could only point to one thing that has, you know, caused some of them to be at the station they are in life today, and caused me to be at the station I'm at, which is really education. I always say that, you know, if I had remained in Bordeaux, I might have been a cane cutter, some foreman at probably one of the estates in Bordeaux. But because I had the opportunity to pursue education in Georgetown and at university and so on, I believe that really was a catalyst cause, you know, my development to be where it is today, and not necessarily being someone who's practicing a trade or having nothing against that, but I really believe that, you know, if I had not got down to the education background, would not have been able to for obvious reasons.
You know, it's almost unfair to ask an ex-military person if they're a patriot. But I want to go down a particular path with you. You grew up in a time when there was mass migration to the Caribbean region and beyond. And now here you are, educated, experienced in IT, in other technologies, military background, fluent in Portuguese. Floyd, you could have joined this exodus and be possibly better compensated. Why did you stay?
Well, that is one pretty difficult thing to define. You said it earlier, nobody, really likes to wrap themselves in a flag and call themselves a patriot, at least not, no circles within Guyana, but, it's something within you. You just wanted to be here, at least me, I just wanted to be here. As you rightly said, the opportunities to leave presented themselves several times. But I just never saw the need to leave. Not, knocking persons who have left, but in my case, I just felt comfortable doing what I was doing in Ghana, but it was in the Defense Force. When I left the Defense Force, I actually worked as an IT specialist on an IDB-funded project called the Citizen Security Program. I felt very comfortable, doing the things that I did. Enjoying Guyana, despite all of the difficulties and challenges that we have, I really and truly feel comfortable here.
Love of country, a strong belief in your talents, and a strong desire and passion to give back to your country of birth what you have learned along the way. We are in a very interesting point in the growth of Guyana right now. We've just had a change of government. Many of us who are gifted and talented and educated are in the diaspora throughout the world. I remember several months ago I had Nigel Hughes on and I asked him about that. We were talking about repatriation and so on, and one of the things he said, it would be unfair to expect everybody who has the talent that is needed to help to build a country to up and come back, that there should be some kind of allowance made, however that is done, to facilitate those kinds of, to help the country gain from those kinds of talents. Do you believe in that?
Well, first of all, I must say that I believe that we're all Guyanese, wherever we are, whether we're here in Guyana, whether we're there in the diaspora, whether we are born to Guyanese parents. I believe that we're all Guyanese and we can make a contribution to the development of Guyana, whether we choose to remain in North America, whether we choose to remain in whatever part of the Caribbean we're in. We can make this contribution by being involved in what is happening here. We can make it certainly by following conversations with the guests that come on the show. But I believe more importantly is for us to be involved in the happenings in Ghana. The ICTs now allow us to be living wherever you are in the world and be part of the experience in Guyana.
Yeah.
So you should participate. You can lend your voice, whether it's online discussion forum, whether it's contributing to articles in our local newspaper, whether it's making your skills available, because you could now live in Guyana and work overseas without leaving home. And in like manner, you can live in North America and do work in Guyana without leaving the comfort of your homes. So I believe as Guyanese, whether by birth or descent from parentage, you can all make a contribution. Whether you choose to come home or whether you choose to remain there and contribute to our development.
I am going to put you on the spot a little bit. Change of government, advisor to the government or the president, e-government. First, why is that position or why is that area so very important to development of Guyana?
First of all, I don't know if you were following the president since he started campaigning before 2011. he's always indicated that ICTs he has to be the path or one of the paths we should pursue for our development. And he has said that consistently as someone in the opposition, as a foreign politician. And since he became president, he's been preaching that, he's continued to preach that. So his vision is one where he sees ICT making a difference, reducing the digital divide in Guyana, allowing persons who might have been excluded from the mainstream society, excluded from the digital society, to actually get on board and enjoy the good life, as he likes to say. So, through ICTs, he sees that many of his policies are going to be implemented, and I am truly honored to have selected as his advisor, as his point person on ICTs.
Floyd, just excuse me one moment. I think when you move your mouth or the direction, it's away from the mic on the on your unit you're using, so we're not hearing you that clearly or loudly enough.
I'll try to maintain.
That's it. Yeah. No, I mean you could move, but just when you move, just raise the volume of your voice a little bit.
Okay, sure.
But I would like you to, if you don't mind, take us back to that first meeting you had with the president. What was that like? What do you remember about that meeting?
Well, first of all, I must come with a full disclosure here to the audience, the viewers, that I've known President Granger since 1983, when as a QC cadet, or as a cadet from Queen's College in the Army Cadet Corps, I met him when he was a force commander. And I have known him over the years, certainly as a senior officer in the Army Force when I was a junior officer. So I've known him for many years, and we've always had a very good relationship. Having been a senior officer and a junior officer, you could understand that the relationship is respectful for my position. So when we met in the official capacity of president, I advised on the government, I was quite frankly, impressed with the president's grasp of the issues that had to be tackled to really, as I said, bring digital inclusion for many of our citizens. He had a thorough grasp of it, and it showed that he had been following this matter very closely over the years. So on that score, I would have known him as an officer, I would have known him as a politician in his campaigning and so on. But when we met for the very first time to discuss his vision and our program for the government, I was particularly shocked about his grasp of the subject.
Can you share with us one piece of advice you have given to the president that caused him to, really be excited or happy? I don't know whether the president is an excitable person, but that you felt went down well with him, that he's really happy to implement or pursue.
Well, I think there were so many exchanges in our meetings, but I think particularly, if I can just select one out of the mix, it's quite pleased is that when I said we should focus, particularly in everything that we do for ICT development, we should focus on poor residents in the hinterland area, and remote areas. That should be the focus for us, the priority for us as we move forward. Many of you are aware that a lot of the development in Guyana, particularly ICT, is occurred in the urban centers along the coast, leaving out a lot of the residents in the hinterland and remote areas. So with that bit of advice or suggestion to the president that we tailor our program to take in those citizens. Those who know the president would always hear him making this statement. Floyd, you're pushing at an open door. I've campaigned extensively in the hinterland, in the interior regions, and I've always championed the cause of, the brothers who live there because of the geography of Ghana, the schools, the amenities and developments that we take for granted in the coastline. So he was, I think he was quite pleased and excited that I saw it that way.
You've shared with us one of the president's thrusts in IT. And I'm not asking you to contradict the president, but I'm asking you because you're an advisor and you have, because of your experience and exposure, a wealth of ideas must be bubbling up in your mind most of the times. So what is one point you were trying to emphasize in IT? Apart from what you've agreed to with the president about the hinterlands, but you of yourself, advisor.
Well, now, one of the things I really wanted to emphasize during my time, I'm sure it happens as a presidential advisor in the government, is to improve the level of interoperability amongst government agencies. We have a classical case where each ministry in Guyana operates as a virtual silo. There's recognition that is supportive, but in terms of information systems, ministries here generally operate in silos, so there's not much cross-fertilization and utilization of common systems, which we can certainly improve our efficiency. So one of the main thrust of my involvement as advisor in the government is to bring that level of interoperability that can improve the delivery of government services to citizens. I think we'd have to focus heavily on that.
Floyd, I wanna slip this in before we go further. I'm very curious about this because the world is moving at a very fast pace, and IT is extremely important. Technology is very important. And Guyana must keep pace if we are to join the developed nations and so on and be competitive. 5 years from now, we're having this conversation. What would you be happy to report that Guyana, you, the president, would have accomplished in IT?
Well, I would certainly like to report that government services, e-services by the state, are available to every corner of Guyana, every village, every town, every resident, every Guyanese citizen resident, whether in Guyana or overseas, has access to government services using ICTs. Citizens are able to go to a community ICT hub, use the available equipment that they have, their cell phone, their tablets, computers. You, citizens overseas, can log on to our government sites and request and receive services from the government of Guyana. That is what I'd like to see 5 years.
Now that we have established a 5-year goal, here's my offer, that you come back from time to time and update us on your accomplishments, your plans, your strategies. We want to know. We want to be part of this with you. We want to be stakeholders in what you're trying to do. Our country is very important to us. Is that fair?
Oh, sure. It's a fair request, and I
what
thank
do you
for the offer to Selwyn for
You're
having me on to discuss with citizens in the diaspora. But I'm sure Guyanese at home are also listening to our free program.
Yes.
So I thank you for the opportunity to come back. Time that is continuing to do to share with all Guyanese what we're doing. Then you know how we're progressing.
Thank you. You're welcome. What do you believe is the biggest misconception about your department and what you do?
I think we are still in the process of getting the message out, getting persons to understand what the government really entails. And sometimes people think it's a super agency. It's government phone company. And I'm saying no, it's really a group of government ICT engineers, government IT officers, working to improve the delivery of government services to you, citizens. So some people believe, provide a network, offer internet, or something like that. But it's much deeper.
And you worked in the private sector. There's this school of thought that partnerships between the government and the private sector can greatly benefit the country. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the private sector obviously brings certain qualities to the table that are beneficial to government. For example, in our area, city, our two largest telephone companies, they are in areas that government would like to get to offer their services to their citizens. So naturally, partnering with them helps government to deliver services better, faster to areas that are outside of government's traditional reach. But also in other areas, software development, mobile application development. The private sector is good at that. They do it, they develop, go through the whole software development cycle much faster, I would believe, and more efficiently than government agency would do. Because, of course, they're driven by incentives. So that's one area in which government ought to partner with the private sector, particularly in IT development, to get benefits. And then there are other areas in terms of servicing of equipment and so on. The private sector, again, motivated by incentives, tend to operate much faster in certain regards. So I see tremendous benefit in partnering with the private sector to achieve our common goals. They, of course,